if I can get this going. Okay, these are going to be some musts. In fact, so much musts that if you want to write them down, you can, because in the end of the classes, we're having a final exam. In my class, I will let you see the final exam first, and I will write it right up here on the board. I will say it on here. In fact, what I'm going to tell you is exactly what's going to be on the final. As long as you're paying attention, you'll do fine. Okay? They call it an end of the course, end of course assessment, EOC. You're going to hear this a lot. The main ideas, okay? This isn't what I planned on doing today, but this needs to be done because I came back and looked in the shop and it was a complete mess. And I always say this, we start with a clean shop and we end with a clean shop, okay? People that are deserving to work in there, like Hunter, I'll make sure you get done with your project, okay? If you have something you're working on, he's been working on a little gumball machine, he'll get done. I'll make sure of it, okay? Because he's deserving of it. But I don't know two things. Who has been tearing stuff up in the classroom here? I found one kid, and when the office doesn't do anything about it, I call the police. And we had the police deal with him, and I said, that's a $700 computer. You either need to have him pay for it or figure something out, because he willfully tore up my computer. And the office interviewed him and said, no, he said he didn't. And I said, no, I have footage saying he did. And I had 3 kids right around him that saw him do this. So that's unfortunate, but the deserving kids, I'll make sure I take care of you. Okay? 90% of the kids are great, 10%. Now, some of them, did people that work in the shop yesterday clean up over there when they were done? Because we start with a clean shop, we end with a clean shop. Earlier this week, the shop was as clean as I've seen it all year. Yesterday, when I came in here after one day, it was as dirty as I've seen it all year. I'm not blaming anyone in here. This is first hour right now. Other classes are going to watch this, and it could have just happened throughout the day of, all we end with 7th graders who don't always do a good job cleaning. But here's the dealio. That's the way it's going to be. If you had something you didn't get a chance to make this school year, shop will be open this summer. People that want to come up here can. No one has to. You can come up, wear hats, chew gum, and whatever. I mean, be safe, but we'll have fun. Fair enough? I just got thinking I wanted that last Channel 1. That's a good tribute to the seniors. I want them to see that, and then I'm sitting there texting my wife, hey, you got to show this. We need to get this going today. And then I realized they just had their last day of school yesterday, I think, didn't they? So it was a day late. But I thought, well, I usually work the senior party, the all-nighter. I'm going to show it at that. I'm also giving out some free rides on the flyboard for the seniors, the ones that do the safe and sober senior rather than the all-night kegger upriver. Okay? So a couple things I wanted to say up here. Shop, don't ask. We probably won't go in there today. We might next week if we get it cleaned up. There's been a lack of responsibility on a lot of kids' parts. And when I say a lot of kids, I shouldn't say the majority, because really 90% of them are great. 10% ruin it for the other ones. And that's unfortunate. Channel 1, as you grow in life, that's a good resource to watch, even when you're not in class anymore. If you ever need a password to get on there, and if they won't give it to you as a student or whatever, I'll always give my password out to it. Channel 1's good for all-around news. Channel 2 is me and what I'm going over now. That's the second thing we're going to do. Channel 3 is our local news, Clue TV. Okay? Lewiston Morning Tribune. Channel 1 won't go into what's going on in Lewiston Clarkson, but I'm just saying you guys should stay informed of stuff, whether it's in the valley here or in the nation. I always say I look at local news, national news, and Channel 5 world news. Okay? I don't know if the janitor forgot to clean up in here yesterday, and the janitor will not clean in the shop. The only thing the janitor will do is take out the trash in the shop, which I've said that's fair. Okay? So I don't know if the janitor didn't clean. Well, this room didn't get cleaned last night, and I don't know if it's because the janitor looked in here and said, that's such a mess, I shouldn't have to deal with this. Because I bet you there were 20 pencils laying around when I first came in here today, on the floor, on And most of them are off my desk where kids have got them and taken them, and responsibility is a big thing for me, okay? And I'm about done, but here's what you need to pay attention to. What do you need to know for the final exam? I'll tell you, because I wrote it down yesterday, and I've said, first of all, is there anyone that has not read and absorbed this book? If you haven't, this is the flight book, okay? If you haven't read it and absorbed it, you need to do that. What is the principle that allows airplanes to fly? Raise your hand if you can tell me that. Starts with a B. B. Sean? Bernoulli's principle. Good job, Sean. Bernoulli's principle. You're listening, but you're just resting your eyes, right? Okay. Sometimes I like to do that at church. I rest my eyes, but I still listen. Not completely asleep. Okay? Newton's third law. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Okay? This can all be found in this book. The four forces of flight: lift overcomes gravity, thrust overcomes drag. There's a picture of that in here too. Okay? There's like 4 things from this book. The last thing, the 3 axes of control. Anyone? Let me tell you one. Think of control. Control is roll. That's what the Wright brothers came up with wing warping, the banked corners. Okay? Remember, this is in the book, by the way. Okay? Page 7 in the book goes over this. I will debate, maybe give you guys even some input of whether you get to use these books on the test or not. How many of you would kind of like to have access to the book? Go, I'd like to be able to just know that I have access to it. Okay? If we have a good last few days, we'll do that. Okay, control. Think of roll, control. That's what the Wright brothers came up with their wing warping, right? Okay. Remember, they came up with the first controlled powered flight, all because of that little toy that their dad gave them called the ornithopter. Everyone's seen that, right? If not, there's one up there in a box. And I thought of this very much when I was at Potlatch Credit Union. They were giving out these little propellers the other day that you spin. Did anyone seen those at Potlatch Credit Union? You spin them and their propeller flies around. I go, something like that might be enough to intrigue someone to learn to fly. Okay? Yaw. You know what yaw is? The rudder, the flat turning. Okay? And the last one, pitch, up and down. A plane moves up and down, pitch, controlled by the elevator. Think of an elevator, and here's the pictures of it in the book. Pitch, up and down movement, yaw, back and forth, roll, side to side. Wright brothers came up with that through wing warping from the little cardboard box that they twisted. Okay? You remember that now that I say it, coming back to you? That right there is on page 8. Okay? Lift and drag, thrust and gravity. That's not really, page 8 is all you need to know from this book. Questions on flight. Is there anything that, you might not care about it right now, but this is a quick read and this is what you should know. You'll get more of that if you join the ROTC program at the high school, if you want more on aviation. Okay? Questions? If you haven't seen the movie The Aviator with Leonardo DiCaprio, that's a good flight one. Amelia, I have right down there. Get that one out, would you? Amelia, about Amelia Earhart. Okay? Big names in flight, those are wants more than needs. Okay, you've heard of the Wright brothers. You've heard of probably Spirit of St. Louis and Who Flew It? Who Flew the Spirit? Charles Lindbergh came back to America. He was a hero, got rich. Someone kidnapped his kid and held it for ransom and ended up killing the kid. So it ended kind of in a bad for him, which is unfortunate. Okay? Questions on flight? Questions on automotive? How many of you have read the car book? How many of you have absorbed it, really learned The three things a car engine needs to start. What are they?
Gas, air, spark.
Gas, air, spark. It spells out gas. G-A-S. Okay, that will be on the quiz. Gas, air, spark. That one's not in the book, by the way. That's one that I throw in for extra. Four-stroke engine, that one is in the book. If you can't remember that a car needs gas to run, you might write it down. Four-stroke engine, right here they are. Anyone know what the four strokes are? Four-stroke, if your parents drive a car, unless it's a Mazda RX-7, RX-3, or RX-8, you have four strokes. Intake, compression, power, exhaust. ICPE. I always say, look out in the hall here, and you can see PE, the gym. Okay? Intake, compression, power, and exhaust. Intake, piston comes down, sucks in the fuel. Compression, piston goes up, compresses it under pressure. Power stroke, what happens? How does the power stroke give it power? The spark plug gives just a little tiny spark, enough to explode that gasoline. Okay? Power, and then exhaust is when the piston comes back up. Exhaust valve opens. This is going to be a 100-point final, so if you haven't listened the other times I've said that, please listen now. Intake, compression, PE. Go out in the hallway, what do you see? I see PE. I see the gym. Okay? Is he bothering you out in the hall there, anyone? No? Okay. Is he still out there? I get one guy going yeah and one guy going nah. Okay. Next. Automotive. Any questions on that? I have a full video on that if you want to watch it. This is putting it quickly. Okay, the gas, the intake. I always say that the car engine and the pistons are like what part of the body? Legs on a bicycle. Legs on a bicycle. When you push down, okay, you push down on the pedal, it's the power stroke. Intake stroke, you take food in, right? Compression stroke, pedals going up. Power stroke, you're pushing down and giving it power. When you push down on bicycle pedals like that, it's just like a car engine pushing down on the connecting rods and the crankshaft and that. Okay, it's the same thing. And I always say, burn fat, not fuel. When you ride your bike, you're burning calories rather than gasoline. 31,000 calories in a gallon of gasoline. How many have heard that fact before? 31,000 calories in a gallon of gasoline. Okay? Average human gets between 250 to 900 miles per gallon if you put them on a bike. All right? Lastly, marketing. You all know the 4 P's of marketing, right? Product, promotion. I always remember 2 of them are pro, like pro, product, promotion, price, and place. Wants and needs. I've talked about that a lot this year. Wants and needs. You need to watch this one. Some of this information is just a want, like the calories in a gallon of gas. Okay? Wants and needs. You need to sell a product that people want or need. It's nice if it's one that they both want and need, like food and water. 2 most promoted items in the world. Okay? Marketing, you should know customer, a little difference between customer and consumer. Customer buys it, consumer consumes or uses it, and I'm missing one major concept. I just can't think of what it is now. Help me. Satisfying customers' needs and wants, making a profit. Willing and able. A customer has to be both willing and able to buy. Okay? Willing and able. You have to say, I want to buy that, and I am able to buy that. Okay? Lastly, in electrical, I've talked about a few things there. Ohm's law, voltage equals current times resistance. Here's 2 things you should know about electricity. It's invisible and it kills you. Plumbing, think of all these different things and think about what do I need to know about, that vocation. Okay? Plumbing, you should know that cold's on the right. It's the blue handle, hopefully. And the plumber name came from a worker of lead, because the pipes used to be made out of lead, and a worker of lead That also led to the downfall of the Romans. Okay, the worker of lead, and I'm at 15 minutes and 4 seconds. And I wanted to stop at 15 minutes unless there's more questions, comments. Think of, I always say there's other things that I go, you need to know, like righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. I have a poster of things that usually I hold up at the end of the year and say, did you get this out of here? I mean, I could take the wood section alone and say woods. What are the two classifications of woods? Two classifications of woods. Raise your hand if you know what they are. If I give one of them to you, see if you can figure out the other one. Hardwoods.
That's what I thought it was.
Okay. I know. Sometimes you don't want to. It's okay to blurt out an answer even if you're not sure of it. Like I'm really good about doing that if I'm watching Jeopardy at home. But I always think, man, if I were actually up there, I don't think I'd say a word because I'd be afraid I'd get it wrong. Hardwoods and softwoods, right? Hardwoods have what? Leaves, deciduous trees, right? Hardwoods, softwoods. Softwoods have what then? Cones, needles, okay, pine cones, needles. Conifers. Conifer means cone bearing or coniferous. Hardwoods are actually called deciduous. You should know that the annual rings on of a tree are made up of two colors, springwood and summerwood. Springwood is light, summerwood is dark because it gets a tan during the summer. That's how you remember that. Summerwood's dark on an annual tree. Earlier this week, actually, this week, 7th graders going to the shop, I said, I'd pass around these wood trees, but these little tree cookies, but I don't want it to get broken. I got back half of it. So you've all seen annual rings anyway, right? Is there anyone who's never seen on a tree?